What's up? How are you doing, guys? It's Angry Roleplayer, and I want to show you the first work in progress build that I'm creating for the Necromancer. It is a very popular build right now on the leaderboards. It's pretty kind of settled, good build with the Grace of Inarius set. And why this build is so popular is for only one fucking reason. For the reason that I mentioned like 3 months ago, because this set buffs all damage by 2750%. That's the deal, guys. It just, double the Legacy of Nightmare set. That's how it put it. So, but the way the set works is kind of very interesting, and I really liked it overall. I really like the fact that Necromancer doesn't really uses some raw damage like a huge skill that does tremendous amount of damage on this shit. It mostly works through the different buffs, debuffs and multipliers, and I'm personally enjoying it. So how this build works in general, I will first I will read you the set itself. So the 2-piece bonus armor, bone armor damage is increased by 1000%. Bone armor is here. 4-piece bone armor grants an additional 2% damage in reduction per enemy hit. This is very easy damage reduction here. So 6-piece bone armor also activates a swirling tornado of bone, damaging nearby enemies for 750% weapon damage and increasing the damage they take from the Necromancer by 2750%. This is the whole deal and why this shit even works in general. And believe me, you will see much more builds based on the Inarius set, simply because when you hit mobs with the bone armor, basically they start take increased damage with almost 3000%. That's why. And it's from every skill, like from minions, from spells, from your attacks, whatever, it doesn't fucking matter. That's why this set is very overpowered in my opinion, and it's very, it's like pigeonholing the whole fucking Necromancer in this set. I'll go a bit of ahead and say that I think that all the other sets are completely weak compared to this Inarius set. They are very weak. And the buffs are necessary to put the other sets on a somewhat competitive level to Inarius. So let's get back to Inarius, and I will explain you how this shit even works. And there are plenty of interesting unique items which makes this whole setup work very interesting. First of all, let's talk a bit about every piece, and this is very important. So, this weapon, Relina's Shadow Hook, is a legendary two-handed scythe. Look at the description. Every point of maximum essence increases your damage by 0.5%, and bone spikes generates 3 additional essence for each enemy hit. So basically, the more essence you have, the more damage you do. So you need to roll max essence here on your paragon, and also try to get essence on your weapon as well. It can roll up to 40 essence as well, and this will give you around 165% increased damage just by equipping this weapon. And we do not use bone spikes in this build, but still this weapon is a huge increase of damage. And why my build is kind of unique compared to the other builds you will see on the leaderboards? For 2 reasons. First of all, you can use 2 weapons instead of 1 weapon. Most builds that you will see on the leaderboards, they use this weapon here only, and my build can use this weapon as well. It is Nair's Black Death. Look at the description. Each different poison skill you use increases the damage of your poison skills by 55% for 15 seconds, and it can go as high as 65%. And look, we have 3 poison skills: the bone armor, the grim scythe, and the corpse lance. All 3 are poison. So if we equip this weapon, we'll increase our damage by 165%. Absolutely identical amount of increased damage than with Relina's Shadow Hook. So basically with my build, I can use this weapon if this weapon is simply stronger than this. And this is what I tend to do when I push higher on the leaderboards. I will go a bit of ahead and say that I cleared 85 with absolute garbage gear, absolute shit. I will show you the weapon. So I have this weapon, 3 and 3k. It didn't even have wheat and shit. It didn't have essence on it. So it's a very, very low weapon, and I had 1.5 million damage. Nothing is ancient, just this stupid belt, but it's garbage. Nothing ancient, no augments, just absolutely nothing here. So with just 1.5 million damage, I managed to clear Great Rift 85 without any augments. So this build has a lot of potential. But let's get back to the weapon selection. Like I said, you can use in this build 2 weapons, Nerfed Black Death and Relina's Shadow Hook. And if Nerfed Black Death will roll with 65, it immediately becomes stronger than the Relina's Shadow Hook, because Relina's Shadow Hook has a fixed 0.5% per essence. And if your Relina's Shadow Hook rolls without the essence, immediately Nerfed Black Death becomes much more powerful than the Relina's Shadow Hook. Now, another interesting things are in the cube. There's trag'oul's Corroded Fang, the Cursed Scythe rune for the Grim Scythe. This one has a 100% chance to apply a curse, and you deal 200 increased damage to cursed enemies. Holy shit! So basically, when you apply a curse through this or manually, it doesn't matter. You immediately deal 200% increased damage to cursed enemies. This is a huge multiplier, and you will see a lot of this weapon in many builds, pretty sure. On the armor, we have Achilles Cuirass. We rarely ran out of essence, because there's simply nothing to spend essence with. There's just bone armor and a couple of curses, but we never run out of essence at all. So Achilles Cuirass is always up, like 100% of the time. And this ring, Crispin's Sentence, is a completely new ring, and it's very unique as well. You deal 100% increased damage against slowed enemies, or triple this bonus against enemies affected by any other type of control impairing effect. Now, what is control impairing effect, guys? Control impairing effect are either freeze, chill, stun, or blind. And so, to do the triple bonus damage, we need not only slow, but also stun, blind, or freeze or chill the enemy. And here is the deal. The bone armor, enemies hit are also stunned for 2 seconds. That's one source of stun. The other source of stun, Decrepify Curse. Cursed enemies have a 10% chance to be stunned for 2 seconds when hit. And when hit, basically hit by Grim Scythe or the Corpse Lance, or the bone armor itself. That's why there's massive amount of stun going on. That's why we basically just slow and stun enemies all the time. So this is how this build works in general. You just pop your bone armor, get your stacks of damage reduction, then start applying the curses for the Grim Side, and do all the rest of the damage. When you stun the enemy, this is where most of the damage comes from, and you immediately see that spike of damage, and it basically melts. Let's get over the basic gear as well. This is 6-piece Inarius set. Helm will be Invade Hit Chance, shoulders Invade Res or Life or Armor, chest Invade Life. The Compass Rose, the Endless Walk set is still there. The Compass Rose is Invade, Hit Damage and Chance. Here is Poison, Hit Damage and Chance. I don't have the Traveler's Patch with Poison. We also use the Ancient Path in Defenders because, like I said, there is a massive amount of stun happening, and this is also gives us additional damage reduction in the very high rifts. The Pants is Invade and Armor, and Inner's Bullets also Invade, Res and Armor. Another ring is Unity, so be sure to equip your Templar with Unity as well. The belt is an absolutely new belt. This is called the Dainty's Binding. It gives us up to a 50% damage reduction when there is an enemy affected by your Decrepify, and there is Decrepify, and we also apply curses through our Grim Scythe because we have this trag'oul's corrupted fan in our cube. That's why we always decryptify shit all over the screen. So the weapon, like I said, is Relina Shitter Hook or Neyr's Black Fang, depending on what is better for you at the moment. I have maximum methods on both, so and this is like much better ancient, so I will be using this indeed. As for the gems, I prefer amethyst in the helm because, you know, life is much more important, and for a very good reason. And another good reason is because you need a huge life pool for this build, because we use the Leech Curse. And Leech Curse gives us 1% of my maximum life every second for each enemy in the cursed area. And imagine there will be 20 enemies. That's 20% of my maximum life every second. That's holy shit amount of recovery. That's ridiculous. Okay. So the gems are amethyst in the helm, topazes the rest, and of course the emerald in the weapon. As for the legendary gems, there's a couple of options here. First of all, it's Bane of the Trap, of course, Pain Enhancer, and the Mirror Naya. Now, why there is Mirror Naya and Pain Enhancer, why there is no fucking Bane of the Stricken at all? I think that Bane of the Stricken is a very good option, but the reason why Mirror Naya and Pain Enhancer is here is the Inarius set itself. Look at the 6-piece bonus. Inarius set increases the damage the enemies take from Necromancer by 2700%. And basically this is all damage. This is not just my skills or whatever. It's also the damage of the legendary gems themselves. So this is 2705, a 50% increased damage of this bleed, and also of this smite. So this is incredible amount of damage is here as well. And Bane of the powerful, Bane of the Trap is just global multiply. That's it. And also this slows enemies as well. So another cool option that you can use is you can drop Unity and use Convention of the Elements with the esoteric alteration instead of some gem, either Pain Enhancer or the Mirror Naya. I think I will prefer Mirror Naya, because Pain Enhancer, it gives a massive amount of bleeds, and the Mirror Naya just a very random smites that are happening there. They can be really powerful, but overall, as you can see, my toughness has doubled, and it's just my shift toughness is basically the same as Unity, and it all depends if you have a very good Unity like this one. If you have a bad Unity but you have very good Convention of the Elements, you can use Convention of the Elements with esoteric alteration. And the trick about this Convention of the Elements as well is this Necromancer only has 3 elements: poison, physical, and cold. It doesn't have anything else. That's why you have poison here every 8 seconds. You have poison here. This is pretty crazy. And basically this is about 35% of multiplied damage across the rift. That's a fucking ton of damage, guys. Fucking ton of damage. So we basically switch and give 35% more damage instead of Mirror Naya. So this is it. This is the trade-off. You can use 2 options here: either Convention of the Elements with esoteric, or Unity with Mirror Naya or Pain Enhancer. So these are the options that you can have. Now let's talk about the skills in general. I'll explain a bit more, and the passives as well. On the left button, Grim Side, Curse Side. This is the shit that inflicts the random curse and gives us tremendous amount of increased damage for trag'oul's corroded fang. On the right button, Corpse Lance, Shredding Splinters. You will possibly see a lot of Brittle Touch runes on the other builds, but I think that is absolutely not important. Shredding Splinters is a poison and it gives you a damage debuff. Look at this. Slows the target by 10% and reduces its damage by 6 for 10 seconds and stacks up 5 times. So the 30% debuff. This is very good. This is like Cloud of Insects for your Witch Doctor. This is very good. And also this is the third skill, poison skill for our Neyr's Black Death, and this is very good. On this is Bone Armor Dislocation. This is basically the whole shit why the Inarius works. This is tied to Bone Armor, and without the Bone Armor we have absolutely nothing. This is a little damage and also a 30% damage reduction. And another damage reduction is through the 4-piece of Inarius set. And this also stuns the enemies. So basically, stun the enemies and immediately you do tremendous amount of damage with bone armor or not. Here is our curses. Leech, Curse Ground. This is tremendous amount of healing. And one of the reasons why I'm using this is because I came up with a problem. I stumbled on a problem when I've been playing the Necromancer and this build in general. Very low recovery. Like, there is no healing and there is almost no space for life on hit. You just need tremendous amount of damage, so life on hit is precious. But there's many recovery skills that Necromancer can use. As this is one of the skills that is very, very good. Look at that. You are healed for 1% of your max life every second for each enemy in the cursed area. Imagine there's 20 enemies. 20 fucking enemies give you 20% of your max life. If you have 1,000,000 of life, this is like, holy shit, this is 200k life per second. And I go a bit ahead and say that with draw life passive, you can basically double that. Increase your life regeneration by 10% for each enemy within 20 yards. Imagine there's 20 enemies. This is 200% increased life regeneration by and you have 20 enemies and you regenerate 200k life. This is 600k life regen. This is like instant, fucking instant. That's why for hardcore, if you want to play hard Necromancer or hardcore, I very much recommend using draw life with the leech paired. Drop something of this passive, just use draw life and you'll be fucking invincible. When you see the pack, drop leech there, start leeching, then drop decrepify and start doing damage. That's it. Another curse, decrepify. Now I think that there is no limit of curses that you apply to the enemy. There is even a, some item that basically applies 3 curses on the enemy. So I think that curses are not overlap and do not refresh each other. That's why we can actually get many curses here on our action skill bar. So this curse is very mandatory. This is decrepify. And decrepify is also used by the Dainty's Binding. We get additional damage reduction through fucking decrepify. And not only that, but this diseasing curse gives us another chance to stun enemies. And stuns, like I said, it is when we proc our Crispin sentence, it do triple amount of damage for double comparing effect. So this is quite complex. I mean, overall, we just need to slow and stun as much as possible to do maximum damage. That's it. Blood Rush Potency is the armor boost, basically, and this is the our movement skill and relocation. Just try to spam it as much as possible to get this armor increase. Like, for example, this is the reason why we're all armor all the time. And look at this. Bam! My toughness increased. This is the armor. Unfortunately, the animation of Blood Rush is very, very slow, and I hope it will be improved. It will be made faster, because right now Blood Rush, especially if you're slowed, it is so slow. It's fucking unbelievable. It's like you're flowing in a sea of butter or something, in a sea of oil. It's very slow. So as for the passive, guys, standalone increases armor by 1000%, reduced by 10% for each active minion. This is the reason why using this, and this is the reason why we are staking armor as much as possible. Armor, armor, armor everywhere, fucking armor everywhere. Here, armor, I don't want armor here, but alive here, but here is armor everywhere. So armor is increased by 1000%. This is just mandatory for survival. This increases our essence by 40, and this gives us around a 20% increased damage through this crazy Relentless Shadow Hook. Without Relentless Shadow Hook, we can actually drop this because we don't need this, and use Draw Life. This is it. Draw Life instead of overwhelming essence. This is how it works. Another passive is Blood is Power. This is like a very cheap cooldown reduction. We constantly lose life, so this is why we basically just, you know, get a 20% cheap cooldown reaction on every skill. When you use a skill, then we get almost immediately 20% cooldown reduction. This skill is pretty good at refreshing bone armor, and more bone armor and more procs of stance, and more procs of stance is basically more damage. That's how it works. So this is pretty good, but not mandatory, I think. It can be switched to draw life or something else. Absolutely, it doesn't matter. Another good is Spreading Malediction. Receive 1% damage bonus for each enemy affected by one of the curses. So this is just a very small additional multiplier. And we have two curses here, so all the time there are huge packs, and all the time they are affected by some of our curses. So this is very, very good. So this is all for it, guys, and I will talk a bit about the different options here for the skills. Now this skill here is an option, and it's not mandatory. Like, for example, you may have no problem with recovery if you have life or hit on your weapon. So instead of Leech, there can be pretty cool options here. I really like Frailty, Volatile Death. Cursed enemies explode by 100% weapon damage on death. This is very funny, and this is quite a massive AoE damage here. I used it a lot in the past, and it's quite interesting. Another interesting is Simulacrum Reservoir. This is a buff, then the cooldown is huge. Creates a simulacrum made of blood that will duplicate your secondary skills by 50%, but not only this, but your maximum essence is increased by 100% while your simulacrum is active. Now, think about it, 100%, holy fucking shit, let's use this. Boom! Holy shit, and think about the amount of damage that we get through the Relena Shitter Hook. This is crazy, this is crazy fucking good. That's why it's a huge amount of damage. Unfortunately, the cooldown of this is very big, but you know, it can be used. Like, it's a very good option here. Another cool option that you can have there on the third button is also the Bone Spirit. The Bone Spirit, and I think I used either Poltergeist or Possession. No. Yeah, I used Unfinished Business. I use Unfinished Business when I use Conviction of the Elements. This is an explosion, and on cold rotation of Conviction of the Elements they did quite a bunch of damage. So that was very, very good. And you will also see a lot of Land of the Dead as well. But I don't like this skill. No, Land of the Dead, all crop skills can be used at will for 10 seconds. Okay, enemies in the Land of the Dead are periodically frozen. Now, this is another control impairing effect, which can be used for the Crispin Sentence triple proc. But, you know, it's so long, like, holy fucking shit, it's incredible amount of cooldown here, so it's not really, even with the 20% cooldown passive that we have here, you know, it's still tremendous amount of cooldown, and in my opinion it's not really worth it. Like, you know, a double curse is still better. I mean, recovery is still more important than an occasional freeze for 10 seconds or whatever. So this is it. So like I said, I personally used Leech Kurske. It kept me alive a lot of the time. It's very, very good. So I use Curse Ground here. So this is it. This is it, guys. This is the whole bean, and in the description you will see the Great Rift Clear with this, and it was Great Rift 85, which I cleared yesterday with the first attempt, and my shit DPS was incredibly low, just 1.5 million. This is it. Thanks for watching, and see you soon.